Good afternoon, everyone. I want to say officially apologies for the very late start today. I do apologize for the start. Premier and his ministers are here today, and we are ready to start the press conference. Today is November 7th, 2025. I am Carrier Christopher, Director of Communications for the Government of the Virgin Islands. We have a full agenda today with topics covering the BVI Ideas Festival, Budget 2026, the Constitution, the Joint Ministerial Council, Culture and Tourism Month, Security Matters, and the UberSoca Cruise. A special welcome to our Premier of the Virgin Islands, the Honorable Dr. Natalia Wheatley, Minister of Communication and Works, Honorable Kai Reimer, and Junior Minister of Culture and Tourism, the Honorable Luz Hodge-Smith. We want to say special thanks also as we welcome our Cabinet Secretary, Ms. Sandra Ward, the Permanent Secretary for the Premier's Office, Mrs. Carolyn Stout Igwe, Permanent Secretary for Tourism and Culture, Mr. Joseph Abbott-Smith, Permanent Secretary for Ministry of Financial Services, Mrs. Natalie Foy-Smith, Chairperson for BVI Tourism, Mrs. Delma Maduro, and Deputy Financial Secretary, Mr. Jeremy Vanterpool. And thank you, of course, to the media and all other senior officials that are here today. We know we've been waiting for a minute, so we'll move quite along quickly today. We're going to just switch it along a little bit and ask our junior minister, the Honorable Luz Hodge-Smith, to make the first presentation. As in customary, we're going to ask, after the statements are made by both ministers, that the media will stand and they get 3 questions per media house, not including follow-up questions. You stand and you state your name and the house that you represent. I want to say special thanks also to ZBVI and GIS for carrying this coverage live today. We thank you all, and we thank the general public for your interest in government activities. I'm going to ask Honorable Luz Hodge-Smith to please come to the mic. We're a little tight in here, so Premier will give us a new space. I'm hoping. I'll just stay on the side.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just a special thanks to all of you for joining us this afternoon for this press conference, and a great opportunity for me to share with you some information on 2 topics. Very briefly, I will do so. And also special good afternoon to our listening audience on social media and through the radio station. This month, we celebrate Culture and Tourism Month under the theme, Rooted in Culture, Growing Through Tourism. And this month is a dedicated time to highlight the very heart and soul of our destination. Culture and tourism are not just related, they are 2 sides of the same coin. Our vibrant heritage, our stories, our culinary traditions, and our art are precisely what create the unique and authentic traditions and our experiences that visitors seek. This celebration is a crucial investment. By highlighting our cultural assets, we are not only preserving our identity for future generations, but we are also strengthening our tourism product and fueling economic growth across our territory. I encourage everyone to dive into the activities planned for the month, and this is a chance for all of us to appreciate, learn from, and share the remarkable legacy of our people. There's a flyer going out. I'm hoping that you would have already received it, that shares all the information about the month of activities. I'll just highlight a few. We started the week already. We are already the 7th day into the week. And we started with the Lit Fest at the H.L. Stout Community College. And of course, we started, I should go back to the 284 Excellence Film Festival, which in my view was a very wonderful couple of days of activities for the film festival, the first ever in the territory. Looking forward to next year's. The Lit Festival, they have a local authors book fair, which was today from 8 to 1. And we also have on Virgin Gorda and Tortola, through the Tourist Board, the Forbes Travel Guide Elevated Luxury Training. That's from the 10th and the 11th. And on the 13th, we have the 3rd Annual Tourism Education Symposium, and that's for senior school students. And on 14th, we have the launch of the Virgin Gorda Book Club, and there we start the first day of 3 days of Fungi Fest. Fungi Fest is the 14th, 15th, and 16th. On the 18th, Tuesday, we have the UberSoca Cruise. Folks coming from, I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then we have the launch on the 18th as well, the launch of the Sister Islands Ad Hoc Cultural Committee. And on the 20th, we have the launch of the Virgin Gorda Historical Tour Manual at the Rock Cafe in Virgin Gorda. On the 21st of November, we have our usual cultural food fair and expo at the Noy Lloyd Positive Action Movement Park. And on this particular day, we always ask for persons to rock their territorial wear. And on the 25th, we're going to be doing something different because it is related. We have an Emancipation Festival Forum, and at this forum, we're inviting the public and to come and share their views so that we can move forward in a more energetic way, addressing the issues when it comes to our Emancipation Festival. And on the 26th of November, there's the Fungi Fest workshop. And also on the 27th, we have the opening of the Virtual Reality Museum at the Craft Alive Village. And of course, we culminate the month of activities as usual with the annual Lobster Fest, which will be held on Anegada from November 28th to the 29th. So again, we like to have everyone participate in all the activities. If you can't do all, do some. And we also would like you, not just on that date, on the 21st, but you can rock your territorial wear, you can wear a pin, you can wear a scarf, and we just for the whole month just identify with our cultural wear. So that's that statement, and the other statement that I have is on the visit of the UberSoca Cruise. The UberSoca Cruise will visit the territory on Tuesday, 18th November. It is expected to arrive around 2 p.m. and depart around 9 p.m., and this gives the territory roughly half a day to make an impact, to earn, to showcase, and to inspire visitors to return. The UberSoca is the largest soca festival at sea, with everything centered around soca music. It was voted the best cruise event of the year at the Caribbean Music Awards this year for the second time in a row. The cruise features about 60 events, including non-stop soca parties and concerts, theme parties and after parties, a full juve. I will only say juve this time because that's what it is. We say Rise and Shine Tramp during our Emancipation Festival. And there's comedy shows, workshops, wellness activities. It showcases around 80 entertainers, including top DJs and soca artists from across the Caribbean. The 4 artists that will join the cruise to perform and represent the territory are Jugu, Boss, Pascal, and TJ. It is expected that these artists will represent the BVI well and make us proud. While on island, there will be a tramp through town. The route starts from behind the administration complex where the village will be set. It goes along the admin drive, then to Waterfront Drive, around the roundabout, onto DeCastro Street, and ends back at the area behind the admin complex. The site behind the admin complex will be set up similar to a festival village with a stage and food and drink vendors. Information will be announced shortly regarding alternative routes for drivers, those who want to take alternative routes home. And we also recognize that there is another cruise ship in on that day. I forgot to mention that we're expecting over 4,000 passengers on this UberSoca cruise and another additional 2,000 on the other cruise ship that's going to be on port on that particular day. However, rest assured, there have been meetings with the mass gathering committee, with the police and the NSC. So all these concerns in terms of traffic control, security controls, they have been addressed, and the areas and how to deal with matters in these particular areas have been finalized. There was a flyer out, just want to address this here, about locals being charged to participate or to attend the performances. That is not the case. There is no charge for locals to participate or to attend the performances. persons. There, I understand there are about 10 persons who did pay online, but they will be reimbursed. By hosting the UberSoca Cruise, it is anticipated that the economic benefits will be felt throughout the community. As a matter of fact, we did an economic analysis, and the economist who did this analysis showed favor of this economic benefit for the territory. The BVI's presentation on the ship while at sea affords the BVI the opportunity to promote our territory to this captured group of persons. There will be 1,200 screens will feature promotional videos on our destination. There will be opportunities to provide information face-to-face to potential overnight visitors, and also the opportunity for the persons that are selected to represent the territory officially on the cruise will also have the opportunity to have daily discussions, have opportunities to meet with the visitors on the ship or the passengers on the ship to, again, all during that time, pushing and promoting the destination. We worked in collaboration with the BVI Tourist Board. They provided a promotional material, and when they come to the island, we expect to show them the great Virgin Islands hospitality. There will be some welcoming opportunities to welcome them. We're going to be highlighting some of our culture as well, our heritage dancers. We're going to be inviting our Mukajumbis will also be highlighted to showcase some of our historical and cultural activities and showcase what the BVI is about other than just sand, sea, and sun. So we're looking forward to this. We recognize there will be some disruption to persons' lives during that particular day, but I just want to beg the patience of everyone and be patient with us, I should say, in hosting this particular cruise ship. This is the largest number of persons that this cruise ship will be hosting at this time. In the past, they have hosted about 2,500 passengers. So this time around, they're hosting over the 4,000. We anticipate that we will have an event free, or no emergencies will happen, because all areas have been covered with meeting with the mass community group through the DDM, et cetera, police, and we tried our best to ensure that everything goes well, everything goes safely. The passengers will have a good time, and we will have an opportunity to showcase our destination to these individuals. It's also an opportunity for our local vendors to have an opportunity to gain economically from it. So we're finalizing all the plans, and just want to have everyone's support with this particular event. I thank you.
Many thanks to you, Honorable Lewis Hodge Smith. Once the Premier gets ready, we will have him join me here, and he will make his remarks following the anticipated questions from the media. Premier?
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me acknowledge Honorable Kai Reimer, Minister for Communications and Works. I recognize also Honorable Lusad Smith, Minister responsible for Tourism and Culture. I recognize, of course, our permanent secretaries present, our Cabinet Secretary, our Deputy Financial Secretary, members of the media, other civil servants present. I'm grateful for the presence of GIS facilitating this press conference, and I also want to recognize Mr. Malone, my special advisor, and greet the members of the public viewing through the power of technology. I will be leading a delegation to London from the 24th to the 28th of November to participate in the Joint Ministerial Council, a political meeting of OT leaders, the Minister for the Overseas Territories, the Right Honourable Stephen Doughty, and other UK ministers, and other respective delegations. The week will consist of a bilateral meeting with Minister Doughty, a meeting of the United Kingdom Overseas Territories Association, UKATA, of which I serve as president, the JMC itself, and other meetings on matters of interest in the Virgin Islands. At the bilateral meeting with Minister Doughty, I will discuss various matters, including governance reform, including an update on plans for 6-month reviews and survey requested as part of a monitoring plan for governance reform, Security and Justice Transformation Program, which is the implementation of the Law Enforcement Review, assistance with institutional development and capacity building, the protocols for effective financial management, constitutional reform, climate change, and CARICOM and OECS membership. In my capacity as president of UKATA, I'll be chairing the UKATA Political Council meeting, where matters of interest to the UK's 12 overseas territories will be discussed, including territorial bilateral compacts, preliminary terms of reference for bilateral compacts, UK government charter, and other matters related to common OT issues. In addition to the GMC agenda, my delegation and I plan to meet with members of the BVI All-Party Parliamentary Group, UK-based members of the financial services industry, meetings with UK government ministries and agencies on areas discussed in the bilateral meeting, other UK government ministries, departments, and agencies in relation to matters on the bilateral agenda, such as Treasury and Hertfordshire County Council to discuss capacity building, meeting with other organizations in relation to issues on the bilateral agenda, such as the Commonwealth Secretariat to discuss institutional strengthening, students in the BVI diaspora. You would also be aware that the House of Assembly has concluded its committee discussions and agreed to table its report for public consumption on the Constitution. The report should be tabled shortly. I think the collective position of the House of Assembly members that the Virgin Islands should be seeking a constitution that provides for full internal self-government has been clearly and widely communicated. In my bilateral meeting with Minister Doughty, I'll propose dates for the negotiations to begin and agree on the process and program leading up to the negotiations. In the meantime, I will be naming the members of the delegation shortly, subject to a resolution of the House of Assembly. I must express my disappointment in the last press conference of the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Myron Wallen, which in my view sought to politicize the constitutional process. A committee of the House has taken a position on next steps to self-determination, which is inconsistent with what the Leader of the Opposition expressed in his last press conference. Our constitutional process must be free of partisan politics, and the likelihood of success is enhanced with uniformity of our position, and hence the reason why the House of Assembly has come to a consensus on our negotiating position. I hope by now you would have listened or read my budget address delivered yesterday under the ongoing theme of building a sustainable nation and sub-theme of pillars of progress. I would have outlined plans and priorities for the Virgin Islands' biggest ever budget of $550+ million, along with its highest ever revenue collections of $446+ million. You would have heard the Leader of the Opposition response, where he referred to the 2026 budget as fraught and no mabi, with no bread and butter issues. While the leaders of the opposition's response does not surprise me, as it is a continuation of his politically motivated, opportunistic behaviors, I'm obligated to the people of the Virgin Islands to set the record straight with facts, not emotions. Let me respond to each of his baseless comments. He said he said we have not addressed the social safety net. In the 2026 budget, provision has been made for a transitional home to be built in Long Loc at a cost of $1.8 million, supporting the needs of vulnerable members of our population experiencing homelessness, among other challenges. I'll also remind the public that we significantly increased the social assistance grants going to the elderly, the differently abled, and other vulnerable groups. He said we did not address the high cost of living, including food. In the 2026 budget, provision has been made for payment to pensioners, many of whom are seniors and among the most vulnerable. I should say increased payment to pensioners. We have already helped others on the low end of the earning scale, such as civil servants, where we lifted the bottom of the scale to help those below a living wage. We've increased social benefit payments. We've increased the minimum wage to $7.25 with a further review on the way. We are in the process of implementing a regulated basket of goods to ensure that affordable foods are available to the most vulnerable. This requires mechanisms to be put in place, such as the collection of data, so we can manage and track that savings are passed along to the consumers. A critical part of this was to capture the volume of items coming into the territory. This required certain adjustments to be made by customs to regulate the brokerage clearing process. This mechanism was finalized last week, and the requirements for customs clearance of the baskets of goods will begin December 1st. Communication with the food importation brokers and suppliers is also being done. He said there's no employment program to help our people. The rated program has provided employment for close to 300 persons in 2025 at a cost of $1.85 million so far. The rated program will be expanded to include a wide range of sectors and will include apprenticeships and training and skills development, soft and life skills training to get people into the mainstream workforce. This is in addition to the Department of Labor and Workforce Development's commendable efforts to upskill the labor force. He said there's nothing for our farmers. Provisions were made in the 2026 budget for the reservoir to ensure reliable and consistent supply of water at Paraquita Bay, an essential and basic requirement of farming. An agricultural complex to house the services necessary to support farmers. There is close to $2 million to address both these projects. There's $1 million to buy more land for farming. I also mentioned the agriculture grant policy to be passed this year to provide grants to farmers. $300,000 for fishing and farmers will be distributed by year end. I should mention that there's $400,000 for a fishing complex in Bargos Bay in the 2026 budget. These are just a few areas worth mentioning. He said there's nothing for special needs. Government just provided a state-of-the-art facility to address the training and developmental needs of the differently abled. This is the Enlin Henley Richer Learning Center. It is the first and only purpose-built facility in the OECS region. We will be highlighting many more areas of our budget in the coming weeks so that public can be properly informed. The BVI Ideas Festival is a continuation of forums put on by Business BVI over the past years. The government has always supported the forums because it is an excellent place for exchange of ideas and policy and serious issues impacting BVI. It brings thought leaders and public servants together to put forth the best practices and innovative policy suggestions. As part of our sponsorship this year, I asked the organizers to present government with a special report outlining the outcomes of the conference and any recommendations for programs, policies, and initiatives that support and further the government's agenda, as was outlined in the 2026 budget address yesterday, or that support our broader agenda of building a sustainable nation. This approach is part of a fundamental belief that government cannot do everything, and we must embrace public-private partnerships. This is a sound PPP, in my judgment, in that it can deliver substantial value for money. I look forward to receiving the report, and I encourage the community to support the event. Lastly, I will address significant security matters facing the Virgin Islands at this time. As a member of the National Security Council and the elected leader of government, I am duty-bound to state my public position on the Acting Commissioner Jackie Vanterpool being reverted to her substantive post. Governor Proust did inform me of his intentions to do such, and I informed him that I did not agree for a number of reasons. Firstly, my representative on the Police Service Commission has informed me that the recommendation for a new police commissioner is imminent. If indeed Jackie Vanterpool is the successful candidate, it would be highly disruptive to bring someone from across the globe as an interim police commissioner only to be replaced by Jackie Vanterpool as a new commissioner. This casts doubt as to whether Jackie Vanterpool has a fair opportunity to win the job, despite what the Police Service Commission's recommendation may be. Secondly, while we remain a jurisdiction with relatively low crime, we are currently experiencing an upsurge in certain types of crime. We also have a manhunt underway with 2 dangerous escapees. This is not the right time to disrupt the leadership of the force. Thirdly, I'm concerned with the process of appointing an interim acting commissioner with no formal application process that I am aware of. I'm also concerned that the advice of the National Security Council was not sought for this very significant decision. The actions of the governor may be constitutional, but they undermine public trust. I want to affirm that, in my estimation, the police force has performed well under the leadership of Jackie Vanterpool. I believe also that the public also recognized the results Jackie Vanterpool was getting in the top position. I have publicly expressed my disagreement with the approach of flying individuals in for short stints as police commissioner. Besides Vernon Malone and Reynolds Fraser, we have had a number of UK nationals in the last 20 to 30 years who have served as police commissioner, including Barry Webb, David Morris, Michael Matthews, and Matt Collins, coincidentally all white males. These individuals have to come and familiarize themselves with the territory and form strong working relationships with senior leadership. By the time they become familiar, it is time for them to leave. Then the cycle repeats itself, unfortunately. My preference is for capacity building and succession planning at home. We must create training opportunities and upward mobility for talented members of the force. We must also send the message to the public, including our Virgin Islands daughters, that there's no glass ceiling for you. If you work hard and do the right thing, you have the opportunity to rise to the highest offices of our society. This situation highlights the importance of constitutional responsibility for internal security being transferred to the elected government, where we will have greater accountability to the public for the decisions that we make on the public's behalf. I would be happy to take any questions that the media may have at this particular time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Premier. Thank you both to you and Honorable Luce for your statements today. And again, thank you to the media. We will ask the media to stand, or one is here already. If you could just give us your name and the media house that you represent.
Media. Carrier permit me to do some house cleaning. Premier. Good afternoon, Premier.
Oh, good afternoon.
moving forward, can you please bring us some guava tart? We're in the season for your lateness. And also,
Absolutely, I can do that. I'll have a box with your name on it.
thank you. And also, can you address the disrespect, disregard, and abuse of the media within your government? I'll just leave it to you. We can all send you some pointers on that. Okay. Carrie, if the Premier is not going to argue with me, I have 4 questions and no follow-ups.
Go ahead. Premier just promised
Thank you.
a box of. So just so you know, that has nothing to do with me.
Guava.
Okay.
My first question. What is the spend on the Uber Cruise, the entire cost to the Treasury? I don't know if that should go to you or Honorable Luce.
Let me make sure I recall it. We had about $300,000, I believe, that goes to the UberSoca Cruise itself. Yes. And I think an additional 100 and, what is it?
What was it, Joseph?
100 and
170 something.
170 plus thousand for the land-based activities. Yeah.
$500,000? I want it to be calm. Okay, but I'll go to my next question.
Sure.
Can you confirm if your office was contacted by a UK national who advised against hiring former Commissioner Collins because he was alleged to be tainted, and if this information was shared with the governor's house?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay. Would your PS know?
Doubtful.
Okay. What did the governor express to you as the reasons behind removing acting Commissioner of Police Vanterpool? And would you and your government join the people in protest against the governor's decision?
I won't reveal any private conversations that I had with the governor, but I'm sure that he will, if he hasn't already, speak publicly on the matter. And I know that he sent out a press release, and I know that he also has press conferences that he does with the media. So I'll let you ask the governor directly what his reasons were, and let him express that.
Second part of the question.
Sorry, say it again. Repeat
The second part of would you and your government join the people in protest against this decision?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily refer to it as a protest, but I do believe that the public have a responsibility to be able to assemble peacefully and freely in keeping with what the Constitution states. And I support the public's right to be able to do so. What I would like for the public to be able to do is to take their discontent and translate it into meaningful support for constitutional change. Because what the governor is doing is based on his constitutional powers. And over, I have expressed to the people of the Virgin Islands that we have a right, and it is a human right, to determine our own destiny. And what we experience now is called colonialism. And colonialism is something that the world, via the United Nations, says must come to an end. There's no democratic accountability by the governor for the areas of the Constitution that he controls. In other democracies, the public has the opportunity to vote for persons who are in decision-making responsibility. There's no opportunity there for the governor. So he can disregard the public's views on any particular matter if he so wishes, once he has the support of the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, which typically they tend to have. So while protest is an important right that we have under the Constitution, we also have to organize ourselves and express our support for the end of colonialism and for the opportunity for us to have democratic leadership which is accountable to the people.
Thank you, Premier, but I want to reframe my question. On Monday,
Sure.
a group of people will be marching on the governor on Monday in protest, I'm going to use the word protest again, against the decision that the governor has made in relation to Acting Commissioner Vanterpool. So my question is, will you and your government join this group of people?
It's not something I've discussed with the government as yet, but I certainly have expressed my very clear position on the matter, and I would be very supportive of the people expressing their constitutional and democratic right to oppose that decision.
All right, thank you. We'll see you on Monday. What is the update on the internal audit regarding the Bank of Asia?
That report hasn't been submitted to me as yet, but I believe that it has neared its conclusion. If it hasn't been completed yet, it should be completed very soon. I don't know if the Deputy Financial Secretary, whether you had any updates on that. That's no updates. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, can I ask him if we're close to that? Is that going to happen before the year is over?
This is internal audit.
So we will follow up on that. We want you to ask up here the questions, and we'll translate it down. All right. Thank you so much, Governor Berry. I appreciate it.
Before the next journalist comes, I just want to express heartfelt condolences to Nick Jeria and the family. Nick lost his wife, Marvina Jeria, formerly Bruley. Huh?
Explain who she is.
Yes. Nick Jeria works for the BVI London office. And Marvina Jeria, his wife, worked for the BVI Tourist Board in BVI House in London. And unfortunately passed away. So we want to express heartfelt condolences to the family. Nick, the immediate family, Nick and the children, but also the extended family here in Jewel Bruley Rollins is his mother. So I want to extend heartfelt condolences to the Bruley family. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Premier.
Good afternoon, Mr. Premier. It's Sean Connolly, Business Editor of the BVI Beacon. You mentioned concern about, as you called them, white males being parachuted into senior police positions.
Yes.
With the abrupt demotion of Ms. Vanterpool yesterday by the governor, a local woman who now looks like she'll be replaced by another white male who's been parachuted in. Do you think the governor has been disrespectful towards her and towards other Virgin Islanders in the way that he's behaved?
You know, I won't seek to describe his actions in any particular way except to say I disagree with them in this particular instance, and I disagree with the approach.
Why do you disagree with them then?
Well, I mean, I think I explained it. We have been in a situation where we have been parachuting in, as you refer to it, acting police commissioners. And it doesn't lend itself to continuity. It doesn't lend itself to high morale among the members of the force who are seeking to work hard to rise to the ranks. You know, we have been speaking about succession planning over many years. We've had former premiers who have spoken about succession planning, and the response always has been that we are engaging in succession planning. And Jackie Vanterpool, Sinclair Amory were two persons identified for succession planning and actually went through training under before Matt Collins came to the Virgin Islands. He was member of one of the police forces up there, Metropolitan, one of them, I don't want to call it the wrong one, but actually engaged in training of St. Clair, Amory, and Jackie Vanterpool in this effort of succession planning. But it just seems like the time never comes. You know, years pass, years pass, and the succession planning never comes to fruition. You know, so we disagree with the approach. And I believe that her performance has demonstrated that she's capable. And and we should allow the Police Service Commission to make a recommendation before reverting to her position. And if she is indeed the successful candidate, she should be given the opportunity to serve in the role substantively.
Okay, I put it to the governor on Tuesday that with robberies up 58% in the first 8 months of this year, violent assaults up 9%, shootings, another one last Monday, prison breaks, a murderer on the loose, that his grip on law and order and security wasn't the tightest, and perhaps that he should relinquish those responsibilities to the elected government who are closer in touch with the people. Would you agree for that it's now time for a transfer of those responsibilities to the elected government?
No, absolutely. In the constitutional review process, the House of Assembly, one of our positions that we agreed is for internal security to be transferred from the governor to the elected government, for the reasons I already described, namely democratic accountability. The public has to be able to hold anyone in positions accountable for good performance. That just doesn't exist in this particular situation. Whether a good job is being done or not being done, the public has no way of holding the governor accountable. Governor works for the FCDO and the UK government. If the governor worked for the people of the Virgin Islands, the people of the Virgin Islands would have a say as to whether he served or did not serve, as they do with the elected government.
Okay, on the airport expansion plans, you haven't released the full business plan. Why not? When do you intend to do it? And does asking for tenders, etc., to be put forward, does that break the Section 11 of the 2012 Protocols for Effective Finance Management with the UK, which limits borrowing by your government? Or have you made an agreement with London on that?
Let me just allow the Minister of Communications and Works to speak on the release of the business case.
Thank you for the question. We understand your question. We received the outline business case. The full business case is not completed. What we will release to the public is the outline business case, but we will do some redaction based on the financials that are included before we go to the tendering of the expression of interest for any persons who would be interested in the airport development.
And when do you think that will be?
We're working through it with the steering group. We're meeting, actually they're meeting right now, and I could give you a better update as to when that will be released.
Thanks. Finally, on your previous press conference on the 3rd of October.
Did you want me to address the
Oh,
part
sorry.
of it that deals with the ratios? With the breach of the ratios? Yeah, so one of the things we're going to the United Kingdom to discuss with the United Kingdom government and Minister Doughty has to do with the protocols for effective financial management. We believe, I mentioned this in the speech, my budget speech yesterday as well, that we have to take a pro-growth approach. And part of that pro-growth approach means that we have to make investments that's going to grow our economy, as opposed to just being concerned about contingent liability to the UK Treasury. So right now, we would be in what I would refer to as a fiscal straitjacket. We're sitting down on liquidity. We're limited in being able to borrow. Most countries borrow perhaps up to 100% of gross domestic product. We are far below 100% of gross domestic product. I think we might be 6% of gross domestic product, if that much. It might be less than that. I have some of the finance team here, the Deputy Financial Secretary, Glasgow and Vanderpool. They might be able to tell me the exact figure, what our debt is compared to our gross domestic product. Our gross domestic product is probably somewhere around 1.7, 1.6, 1.7 billion dollars. Our public debt right now is probably somewhere around 170 million dollars or so. So maybe around 10%. maybe somewhere around 10% of our gross domestic product. But the protocols limit us to, I believe, 80% of recurrent revenue, which is 80% of our recurrent revenue for this year. How much would that be? My mathematicians, like 80% would be like what? Or over 400? So, somewhere around recurrent revenue is 446.
3 something.
So around 350 or so, something like that.
Million.
And the 350 million, probably somewhere around there. And you know, the airport expansion is going to cost us over $400 million. So we've gone past that easily. You know, so it limits us. So one of the things we were trying to discuss with the United Kingdom government is relaxing some of those provisions, or making adjustments to some of those provisions, so we can invest in growth. And when we invest in growth, we're less of a contingent liability to the UK Treasury.
Just to clarify on that then, it's London who's put the Virgin Islands in the straitjacket then?
April 23rd.
Oh, you want me to say that for purposes of journalism?
Well, purposes of clarity
you
and
know.
honesty.
I mean, this fiscal straitjacket was a result of these protocols for effective financial management, which are over 10 years old at this particular point and need to be reviewed. A lot has happened since those protocols have come into place. You know, we've had devastating hurricanes. The protocols make no provision for what happens in a natural disaster. We've had pandemics. You know, we have you see what has happened in Jamaica. So we have to review those protocols in light of the changing situation and our increased vulnerabilities.
Okay, finally, as I was saying, on October the 3rd, your last press conference, I asked you about the greedy bill, which you refused to call the greedy bill, and how much had been paid out to members of the previous Parliament, because you said last year it could be up to 2.7 million. You said you'd get back to me in 2 working days. It's 35 days later. Still haven't heard what the figure is. So does that mean that, A, the government can't get its act together enough to get that information in 5 weeks, or you're not that interested in telling the public how their tax money is being spent on politicians?
No, actually, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why. I'm really not sure why you didn't get the information. I have my deputy financial secretaries here. I'm not sure if there's anything that we can get just in terms of pension payments to retired House of Assembly members. And what particular year are you speaking about?
It's members of the previous government, previous Parliament. Previous House of Assembly, who then left office in 2023.
I think that information should be in the budget, right? Yeah, it should be pretty easy to get that information. It's a budgetary.
Well, it's been 5 weeks.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why, but it's a budgetary. This is a matter of looking in the budget and seeing what was the expenditure for retired members of the House of Assembly. It should be pretty easy to get that.
So could we get that in 2 working days then, by Monday?
I think my acting, not acting, my director of communications remind me what you advised me to do when I'm in these press conferences.
Say we'll get back to you shortly. Yes.
Well, if you make a promise, you should stick to it. But,
Okay, we're hearing that there's a similar question, and I did get your million messages, and I was trying my very best. So based on the folks here in the audience who are shaking their heads, we will get back to you very, very shortly. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, so Sean, and yes.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good
Shaka
afternoon.
Wooding Donovan, 284 Media. So my first question, the situation with Jacqueline Vanterpool has reignited conversations surrounding locals being denied leadership opportunities that they are well qualified for. The labor management system, in terms of addressing these inequalities in the employment sector, has been hailed as a step in the right direction, But how does the government intend to advance the fight to ensure that Virgin Islanders are treated fairly?
Well, that's I would say, a great question. One thing the Labor Department has done recently is that they had a meeting of statutory boards because we recognize that statutory boards, because the employees don't go through, haven't been going through the work permitting process, that sometimes qualified belongers are being overlooked, or there's not a proper means of ensuring that local qualified locals are being given the opportunities. So there was a meeting with statutory boards so that they can, in accordance with the labor code, have work permits at the statutory boards, which I think is a step in the right direction to ensure that you have a process in place to protect qualified locals. And I think that we have to continue to educate the public about the responsibility to ensure that they're qualified locals. Now, one thing that sometimes persons say is that the persons are not qualified. And I think that we have to ensure that we have a proper system in place to ensure that we have a means of verifying whether someone is qualified or not, and whether the requirements that persons are being subjected to when they're applying are really realistic and necessary for the job. In some instances, I think there's merit to what some of the employers say, and so other instances, I think they're just trying to game the system and bypass the question of being able to hire locals. What I remind the public about is really investing in locals is good for everybody, them included. It will result in less, unemployment in the territory. Persons who are able to meet their goals and aspirations. And as it pertains to qualified locals, I actually think that the private sector can do more to invest in training, invest in succession planning, invest in internships and opportunities for persons. We were at Nanny Key, I think it was last week, and Nanny Key, actually as a part of their $40 million expansion, was going to create an institute, which is an extension of the H. Labadie Stout College, to get local persons into the marine industry. And I was saying that this is a model that should be followed by other private businesses in the territory. You have to invest in the fabric of the society. You can't just seek to reap the benefits of the society. So the Labor Department, I think, are taking commendable efforts, supported by myself. We have a employment policy which is on the way, and I think that will be further opportunity for us to examine the current system and how we can strengthen it to ensure that qualified local persons have opportunities.
But Premier, could I add though, because I think you referenced Jacqueline Vanterpool and what is happening now. I think based on the Constitution, Section 97 speaks to who appoints the Commissioner of Police. And as the Premier spoke about constitutional change, I think that is something that we are looking at, where we need to make those, to address those situations that we are going through right now.
And since the minister brought up Section 97, we should explain to the public so the public understands the role of the National Security Council, and also the Police Service Commission. Because, of course, in the governor's last press conference, he did say that he sought the advice of the Police Service Commission. But based on the Constitution, if you have any position in the police force, it has to go through the Police Service Commission. If the governor disagrees with their advice, you can send it back to them and ask them to reconsider. If they come back again and the governor still disagrees, then he can, in essence, make a appointment. So he has a lot of quote-unquote discretion. I know in the COI we talk about ministerial discretion, but the governor has a great deal of unchecked discretion. Okay? As it pertains to any office in the rank of inspector or higher, it has to come to the National Security Council. It has to come to the National Security Council for the National Security Council to advise on it.
Chief Inspector above,
Yeah, Chief Inspector above. My apologies.
97-2.
Yeah, so if the National Security Council makes a recommendation and the governor doesn't agree with it, he too can disregard that advice and act, but it must prejudice His Majesty's service, which I think that needs to be properly defined, because I'm not quite sure if it's ever explained how an appointment that has gone through the Police Service Commission, that the governor disagrees with, based on the fact that it prejudices His Majesty's service, whether that has been ever explained in any particular situation. But the governor has a lot of power. The National Security Council can only really advise, but he has almost unilateral authority. If he just wants to go through the process, he knows exactly who he wants to put in a particular position, he can just go through the process, okay? Police Service Commission, and then, send emails, memos back and forth. But he knows what he wants to do, he can do that, and he can just disregard the advice of the Police Service Commission or the National Security Council and, in essence, do whatever he wants.
Okay, my next question is to Honorable Luce Hart-Smith about the UberSoca Cruise. You did mention that there was an analysis done and there would be economic benefits. Yes. Can you specify what these economic benefits will be, what demographics are expected to benefit the most, and who was the economist who conducted the analysis?
All right, thank you. There's a lot of questions in one, and I anticipated these questions. So here is the actual report that we received from the analysis, or the economist. It was an economist. Just want to show you. So yeah, this is the report. And it talks about the economic benefits behind the UberSoca. I'll just give you roughly. And went back to the 2024 Florida Caribbean Cruise Association study that recorded that an average onshore spend of $72.49 per passenger in the BVI. So due to, this was 2024, and in the Virgin Islands, the inflation of the cost of goods have increased by roughly 6 to 8% per year since 2022. So with these factors, they're looking at maybe possibility with that inflation. The BVI onshore spend is between now $100 to $120 per passenger, which reflects a 30 to 60% increase over the outdated baseline. So we're looking at the 6 to 8 hours ashore. The contribution is estimated $15 per hour to the economy, with they say here is 3,500 passengers, but it's really over 4,000 passengers. So we could generate approximately $350,000 to $420,000 in spending. So the funds that we've expedited in terms of investing, we kind of break even in a sense. But then there's also, according to this, this is just the passengers, but then, it could also go up to maybe $600,000 to $750,000 overall, compared to other events that the passengers might necessarily participate in. This is just an estimated amount, but further expansion of where their spending is, it could go up to as much as $750,000. The breakdown look at 60% for direct spending like food, taxis, retail. That's like $350,000 to $420,000. 25% indirect, like suppliers, utilities, logistics, etc. And 15% induced household spending, wages, for example, the vendors, when they participate and what they will make from this. And in essence, what the economist said, the UberSoca single day in port represents more than a moment of celebration. And basically, it is concentrated surge. It's a concentrated surge of commerce that reaches from the pier to every corner of our economy. So this report reflects the positiveness of having the UberSoca Cruise. The economist, Mr. Joseph, P.S., if he could give me his name,
Travis
Mr.
Skeet.
Skeet, Mr. Travis.
Travis Skeet, and he's working
Mr.
for
Travis Skeet.
UN Development Program, UNDP.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I add
But
just
if
a
you
little?
want more, I could share the report with you.
Can I just add a little bit though? And this speaks to Area Minister Raima has to deal with as well, which is the value of cruise. You know, cruise is often downplayed among some quarters, but what cruise allows us to do as well is introduce passengers to the Virgin Islands. And we have many persons who come on cruise ships who return as overnight guests. What's the statistic? 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 persons come as repeat guests or overnight guests. And if you really think about the BVI has a very high percentage of return guests, persons who fall in love with the Virgin Islands and they come here every year for 20, 30 years. You know, they may pass away, their children continue coming, they bring their grandchildren. So it presents an opportunity for us to introduce them to the Virgin Islands. And we are actually working on, I'm not sure how far we've gotten with it, PS, cruise conversion program to convert cruise passengers to overnight guests. There'll be opportunities for vending as well with the activities that are taking place behind the administration building. But what we should do is show them our best face, introduce them to the Virgin Islands, make sure that their experience is so positive that they come back. Yeah.
Okay, so in a follow-up to that, was there any component of the analysis that looked at potential loss related to the disruptions caused by the events that day?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, and finally, in following up to that question, will this report be made publicly available?
Would it be, Premier?
I mean,
It was more for our internal information in terms of what would be the benefit to the community. I don't think we can want to give the entire report, but we can give you snippets of it in terms of what you're looking for specifically. But we wanted to find out for ourselves, in making a decision, what would be the economic benefits to the territory.
and perhaps I could just say as well, the Permanent Secretary, P.S. Smith Abbott, and the ministry is developing policies around sponsorship of events. And in the draft policy, of course, there's a reporting mechanism that we seek to do for full transparency. And I don't see any reason why we can't have aspects of the report appended to a report. But moving forward, that's something we're going to do. Whenever we have any kind of sponsorship of any kind of private endeavor, we are going to have a report that can be laid on the table of the House, which is the mechanism by which we make things, government documents public, so that we have full transparency.
And just to let you know, too, we will attempt to do an exit survey.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and lastly, on the UberSoca Cruise, who is the intended demographic in the public for attending this event? I think a lot of members of the public who have heard about it are going to be at work at the time. So who's expected to attend this event, you know, in terms of people who live and work here?
Well, okay, I'll give you this little tidbit subject to a decision that has to be made by the governor. Without violating confidentiality of National Security Council, I'll just say to you that the question has arisen as to whether a half day should be given, primarily because of the traffic disruption. The ship will arrive around 2 o'clock, and the tramp should begin somewhere around 3 o'clock, which is right when you have a lot of traffic taking place. So I believe a recommendation will be forthcoming very soon, given guidance as it pertains to whether there'll be a half day or not. Of course, we don't control the private sector, but I believe we can also give guidance to the private sector based on the fact that we will have massive traffic disruption. The tramp is going to go down Waterfront Drive, on the inner part of the roundabout, come up De Castro Street, and go back behind the administration building. So it would be advisable for members of the private sector to allow persons who are working the opportunity, those who want to participate, and those who want to leave the area before the traffic disruption to be able to do so.
Okay, and just my follow-up to that. Has there been specific engagement with businesses operating along that route to ensure that they take the best opportunity or put their best foot ahead to truly benefit from this activity?
Well,
Not necessarily to get engaged with them, but they can stay open. Of course, it's business hours, so you won't necessarily close. The benefit for them to be open, to take advantage of the opportunities. We did have some questions from individuals who wanted to vend along the route, but we will be directing them to the city manager's office, similar to festival. Persons that want to vend along the parade route would go through the city manager's office, and of course, they'll have to comply with the regulations, getting the temporary trade permit, and I don't think they can sell liquor on the street, but if they would need to get a liquor license, etc. So these things will be required of them. So we did receive some calls, and we're advising those persons who are interested in vending.
and I believe they'll have some vending over on the grounds.
Yes, there will be some vending because we are going to have food. So again, to give the visitors a taste of our local cuisine and drinks, local drinks, etc. And of course, yes, the liquor will be there. But
And let me just say, of course, that I think not too long ago, when was it? A few days ago, we had a press release go out. Press release and a flyer, and part of the purpose of that is to sensitize the public to the fact that the UberSoca Cruise is coming. I think it's pretty much well known now. So it's for the business community to be proactive, to ensure that they're able to market their services to this over, I think it's around 4,000 persons or so. You know, and as you mentioned, it's a specific demographic. So persons can market their services to that specific demographic of individuals who will be on the ship. And let me just say as well, in terms of the benefits, we have our artists. We have Jugu from Vibe. We have Dante, Pascal. We have Eustace Freeman, Boss, and we have TJ. TJ from Vibe as well. And we are introducing a wide Caribbean demographic to Virgin Islands music, which I think is an excellent opportunity for those artists, and it's also an excellent opportunity for the Virgin Islands.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Donovan. Our last media house.
Good afternoon. Zan Lewis, ZBVI Radio. Premier, in a letter to Ms. Vanterpool, dated October 31st, from the governor, indicating that she will be demoted. He indicated that he would have informed the National Security Council on Monday, November 3rd. Did that happen?
Let me answer carefully because meetings on the National Security Council are confidential, and I don't practice speaking about what happens during the meetings. But let me just say generally and broadly, without making reference to any meetings, that the discussions I've had with the governor as it pertains to this particular action took place on a one-on-one basis outside of the formal meetings.
So basically you're saying it did not happen.
I'll let you conclude whatever you want to conclude there.
Premier.
I being a member of NSC, I think, I should say that we were informed on the 5th as to what is happening with the move of the acting commissioner. And that was just Wednesday, was
The 5th of November.
The 5th of November. So we were informed at at NSC as to what was happening at that time.
Premier, from what you are saying here this afternoon, it seems as though your hands are tied. The governor can do what he wants. Also, any kind of protests people want to make, any sort of talk people want to make about Ms. Vanterpool being demoted to a certain position, nothing can be done. That is what you're saying. Nothing, you cannot do nothing as a government because of the Constitution protecting the governor. So all the talk we can do, you can't do anything about it. Your hands tied.
Let me express it in my terms. Of course, persons have the means available to express their discontent with any particular decision. But ultimately, what we as a people need to do is have a system with a certain level of democratic accountability. That's why democracy functions the way that it does. You have the United States of America. They have a system. You have President Trump, which is in office. He was elected by the people of America to be in that particular position. If when 4 years comes again, they don't want to have a Republican in that particular position, they can vote for a Democrat or they can vote for an independent. They have the choice. I'm saying to you here, we do not have that choice. Governors are sent here from the Foreign and Commonwealth and Development Office without the public's input. It doesn't matter what the public wants. They come here, they perform their roles and their duties. If you don't like it, or if you like it, it doesn't necessarily matter. So I'm saying to you, ultimately, the people of the Virgin Islands, this must be a moment of reflection, of looking internally at ourselves. Do we like a situation that we have where we do not have democratic accountability? Is that something that we prefer to have or not? We have to look at it from a mature standpoint. We have to mature as a people. That's what I'm suggesting to you.
And until that system is put in place, your hands are tied. You can't do anything.
I don't know who hand you want to tie up.
No system in place, so you.
I don't know who hand you want to tie up or whatever else, man.
Let me put it differently.
I'm not tying my hands with
Let me put it
anything.
different to you, Premier. Since the governor came here, he is responsible for security.
That's the truth.
So he's the boss when it comes to security.
He has that constitutional responsibility.
You had escapes at the prisons. Remember, he is responsible for security. You have the situation where the cameras are not working. You have the situation where crime is up in the BVI. You have the situation where people are living in fear. He is responsible for security. You are going to travel to the UK very soon. You're going to carry a delegation there.
Yes.
Will you be discussing with the minister responsible for the overseas territories your disgust as regards the functioning of the governor in that position of minister responsible for security in light of what is happening here? Not only that, Premier, since the governor has been here, he has been protecting his own. You would have seen with the last police commissioner, charges of accusations were made against him. Nothing was done. A petition came about. Nothing was done. The escapees at the prison is a UK white man there in charge, but he remains in a position where an external investigation is going to take place, instead of he being sent home until that is happening. In the meantime, he continued his charade on locals in the Virgin Islands on top of senior public servants and sending them home. Will you be discussing all of this inconvenience and disgust that you are facing with the Foreign and Commonwealth Office? Because you are saying they are his boss.
Well, let me just say, when we conduct diplomacy in the Virgin Islands, we don't necessarily discuss everything that we're going to discuss in the open. So there'll be some things that I'll discuss with the minister privately. And yes, security is a concern here. And of course, I think would come up in our discussion. And as I said before, the House of Assembly has said that we are seeking for security to be transferred to the elected government. Most likely that's going to come up in our conversation as well.
Ms. Lewis Hodge-Smith, some time ago, there was a big, I won't use the word fanfare, the Premier don't like that word.
Fanfare?
Fanfare.
Okay.
With this public-private partnership. A lot of things you outlined, a lot of things the Premier said you're going to do. Yes. A lot of things you said that you are going to do to Rotong. You're talking about tourism. Well, when the Premier appeared on the Virgin Islands, the program some time ago for the what's that, sir?
Virgin Islands Voice.
Virgin Islands Voice. You said that you have been informing the public regularly. And that got to me because I want to know what he meant by regularly, because you have not been doing that. What's the position with that project?
Well, thank you for your questions, Anne, and I know how passionate you are about these things, and I understand your passion for this particular topic as well. We are in the process of having a stakeholders meeting. We will have a stakeholders meeting next week, and this is pertaining to the two projects that businesses will be affected, the pedestrian walkway and the waterfront drive. We have been meeting, and I agree, we may need to come out a little bit more and say what we're doing. But we have been diligently and feverishly meeting to try to get these projects out. We will try our utmost best to get at least the pedestrian walkway at least started by the end of the year. I must say that the RDA has been doing a lot of work. It required hiring designers, getting the costings done for these projects. Public Works is assisting us. So there's a lot of work behind the scenes, and we should have come forward a bit earlier to say what's being done. But work is being done, and we hope to at least have one project started by the end of the year, and we go forward. In addition to that, we will be making conscious efforts to get the place cleaned up before the end of the year. And that is also in the works, to get Rotown totally cleaned up. Not just Rotown, but the territory as well, as the Premier has admonished us to do so.
As a follow-up, you can't clean up Rotown with a sewage depot still there. You're moving it? Every day I drive past there, I got to roll up the glass for my vehicle. You can't beautify Rotown and have it the kind of capital with that sewage depot still there. Will you be removing it? Because the sewage depot in Rotown by the roundabout.
I'll allow the Minister of Communications and Works, who's responsible for the area, to speak on that. But I'm not sure it could be removed, but we'll see.
Thank you for the question. The ministry we are actively working to upgrade the sewage system in the area with adding additional pumps and adding to the infrastructure. So I think a tender should be actively out right at the moment so that we can get that area sorted out. Unfortunately, you say you smell things every day, but we're working to get it sorted out.
Madam Host, I have two more questions. Good. Well, I'm with the minister. Minister, that road out, officially out there. When is it going to finish and what's the cost now? That road should have finished in 4 months' time. You're going over 1 year. How far the cost reach at this point?
Fish
Out
Bay,
at Parakeeta Bay, Hodges Creek.
Yeah, we're about wrapping up with the road. I can get back to you with the cost for the road. We are waiting to just put in a culvert. We are waiting for a sewage connection at the Hodges Creek Marina area, and then we'll be able to do the asphalting for the main surface. Then we'll be working on the drainage for the earthen drains on the side. But I would say it's 90% completed. We're in discussion now as to we know the contractor requested another road closure, but we were working to see how we can have an alternative means of installing the drainage there. Unfortunately, we are still here, but we're at the end of the project. And in terms of the cost, I will have to get back to you.
Minister, you have been asked the cost for that road a long time.
I've given
It's 1 year we have been asking for that cost.
I would have given the latest cost, but
Which
I can't
is?
recall what it is now.
Okay. Premier, the last question. You said on the trip to the Joint Ministerial Council, you'll be discussing dates for negotiations for as regards the Constitution. You're going to discuss dates to discuss or negotiate on the Constitution when you hope to begin to inform the people of the Virgin Islands on the steps you are going and where you are going before you negotiate.
I'm hopeful that the report that the House produced will be laid on the table sometime before the end of the year.
So that's the time the discussions with the people will start?
Yeah, that would become a public document, and transparently people will be able to see every position that the House of Assembly took on every recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. We're going to do a little something different today. Our press conference is finished, but officially we want to give the Honorable Kai Reimer a minute to wrap up. Just give us a few words on his happenings in his ministry, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to give an update. I just want to go right into recognizing the 6 members from the BVI who they're working in Jamaica to actually assist with the restoration of power there, and we acknowledge the people of Jamaica after Hurricanes Melissa and what they're going through. And I just want to, offer support, let the team know that we're here supporting them as well. And I, just thought that would be necessary to say. In terms of my ministry, I think there's so much to say in so many different departments. I know Western Ferry Terminal, we are still hoping to hit the reset button on that project. We're in active discussions as to how we can rescope and be able to retender that project. I could go into road works. We have quite a lot of road works happening. I know in a year we started with over 60 projects. All the projects would have needed tendering and designs, and we would have gone through the procurement of many of them. Some are completed, some are still in the design stage. We'll give a comprehensive update as to where we're at with those projects. Airport expansion, we received the business case. KPMG, they did the Green Book business case as mandated by the UK. Their recommendation based on their findings is that we go to 7,000 feet. Cabinet actually endorsed their recommendation. We forwarded the outline business case to the FCDO as they're reviewing it, and the Premier mentioned that we would have written to them to ask them to treat the airport expansion as an investment into the territory and not align it to the debt of the the country. Those conversations are ongoing with the technical team, and I know it will be further discussed at the Joint Ministerial Council. Water, we made water a national critical priority, and we are working. We got the reports from Operators Without Borders, quite a lot to be done there. They give us short-term, medium-term, and a long-term plan as to how we should rectify and address the water situation within the territory. As we're in the short term now, we're laying some HDP pipes along the Ridge Road, and that is expected to continue as we work to update the water infrastructure. The reservoirs, we know that we have about 5 that are in need of instant repair, and we are waiting for it's going through the cabinet process so that we can hire a contractor for that. We would have also did a procurement for to pave the west end from Western Ferry Terminal to Rotong Ferry Terminal, where we'll be doing asphalting. Cabinet made a decision on that a couple weeks ago based on the recommendation from Central Tenders Board, and we are going through the process of that. I just want to end there because I could keep going. We have the Solar Technology Energy Program that we have work to do there. But I just want to end by going in the direction that we started in terms of the acting commissioner. I know the question was asked to the premier and where the government stand. I just want the people of the territory to know that we stand with you. We understand that it definitely is unfair what was done. Constitutionally, the governor has the right based on Section 97. And, NSC is a body. Though we can't make any decisions, we're there to advise, but the governor ultimately makes a decision based on His Majesty's service, prejudicing His Majesty's service. So in terms of the uprising of the people, we support you. I support you. And I know the members would have said the same thing. And regarding the security and the prison, I too support that the situation should be where the superintendent should be an administrative leave as we go through the internal processes and the external processes of understanding what took place there. So my support again is there for that, and I just wanted to make that clear today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Reimer. Premier has 2, I think, important points to make, and then we will wrap up quickly. Premier?
Thank you, Director of Communications. The first point is Friendship Day was delayed. Sometime in October, we had planned to have Friendship Day in the United States Virgin Islands, St. Thomas specifically. It was delayed because of weather, but that Friendship Day will be taking place now on, is it the 15th?
Yes.
November 15th. It will be a one-day affair. So, of course, persons who were traveling to Friendship Day before, you certainly, if you wish, can attend Friendship Day now on the 15th in the United States Virgin Islands. Also, just to let the public know that, of course, we're observing the commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the House of Assembly. This evening, we'll have a recognition ceremony. Is it open? It's open to the public?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so we're inviting the public to the recognition ceremony, which is taking place this evening at what time?
7 o'clock.
Oh, and I know you have to go cute up yourself. So 7 p.m., which I hope is enough time for us to get glamorous.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but at 7 p.m. this evening, that'll be at Eileen L. Parsons Auditorium, and quite a number of persons associated with the House of Assembly will be honored or recognized. So you don't want to miss that. Tomorrow is the Speaker's Gala, I believe.
Correct.
At Scrub Island. by invitation only. Let me make that clear.
Thank you very much, Premier. I want to say thank you to the head table here from, I'm going to start on my far right with Honorable Kai Rima. Thank you, sir. Thank you to the lovely Honorable Luz Hodge-Smith and, of course, the Premier. We want to say thanks to the audience and, of course, the BVI public for tuning in such great numbers today. We once again apologize for the late start, but I could not stop without saying a special thanks to facilities, again, who we call on the shortest of moments notice to ready this room, along with Ms. Risa Smith of the Premier's office. Thank you to you both and those within the sound of my voice. Thank you for tuning in. Comms team, GIS. I'm going to get into it for calling people's name, but those folks had stood out first. So thank you so much to everyone. It is the weekend, y'all. So we want you guys to have a wonderful, safe, and God-filled weekend. God bless you all. Once again, my name is Carrier Christopher, Director of Communications for the Government of the Virgin Islands, wishing you a happy and safe weekend. Thank you so much. Okay.